Now there's reality, and then there is that which lies immediately behind the facade of reality. The reality is, in this week's Torah reading, which is called Bahar, that the land is protected, that the land is nurtured, that we're told explicitly the laws of the Jubilee year, the sabbatical year, when all of the land was supposed to lie and re-energize itself, and also return back to its original owners. That this is an opportunity for us to understand the ecological nature that the Bible assumes way before ecology was even invented as a word. And it's a powerful concept, too, about possession and about holding on to land. And then the Torah reading goes on to talk about how if someone becomes impoverished and they need to sell their portion of land, how redemption needs to be ascertained and then ultimately executed. Well, it's pretty physical, pretty elemental, pretty almost mathematical in the way that the laws are laid out in Bahar. And yet that which lies behind it, I think, may be even more powerful than what we see at first blush. What do we see that lies behind it? The Torah reading says, V'chiyamuch achicha. If it turns out that your neighbor becomes impoverished, what is key about that phrase is that it is in the singular, not the plural. Not that if people become impoverished, this is what you need to redeem them and redeem the lands that they once owned. But if someone, a person, someone whose name and identity is known to you, you go out and you redeem their land or even their person. You know, we often talk about the Holocaust as being something so dramatic and so powerful and overwhelming that it tends to subsume everything under its aegis. At the same time, who can really fathom what happened during the Holocaust? It's too large, it's too immense, and as a result, it becomes almost meaningless to talk about. But when you talk about a single person, when you talk about an Anne Frank, or you talk about any specific figure whose life is chronicled through the time of the Holocaust, then we get it emotionally. And we are tethered to that, not only the person, but that time. And so it is that we as individuals can associate and understand and feel compelled to be involved in a single person's life, while something that is massive may just seem beyond us, and we'll shrug our shoulders. As I make this tape now, there's yet another earthquake going on in Nepal. And how many thousands of people have been killed, and how many hundreds of people have been displaced, and how many hundreds of people have been injured. It just goes almost beyond our understanding to comprehend it. But the Bible says, V'chiyamuch achicha. If your brother, singular, becomes impoverished, this is what you need to do. In other words, what the Torah is almost subliminally telling the reader is, just understand one person. Just understand one story. Get it on a singular level. And then you'll feel moved to want to do something about it. This is what the great commentator David Ashlich tells us as a commentary on this very pasuk, on this text. He says it's singular because the human mind only gets the singular. So put yourself in its place. Don't read the newspaper and say, oh my God, it's terrible what's going on over there. But rather, become impassioned by a single person's tale and narrative, and then be compelled to move once you become impassioned by that tale, by that story. Because it's one story that brings us to action. And if the Torah stands for anything, it is this: that we not only are commanded through the mitzvahs to do things, but we need to feel commanded.